Mattel is releasing gender-neutral dolls. And Time has a whole story about it. They're very excited about it. I want to read a bit, just a little bit of it to you because it's funny, but also because there's a point I want to make here at the end of this. Okay, so this is Mattel on the gender-neutral dolls. It says, a child opens a box. He starts jumping and screaming with joy. Not an unusual sound in the halls of Mattel's headquarters where researchers test new toys. But this particular toy is a doll, and it's rare for parents to bring boys into these research groups to play with dolls. It's rarer still for a boy to immediately attach himself to one the way that Shia just did. An 8-year-old who considers himself gender fluid and whose favorite color is black one week, pink the next, Shia sometimes plays with his younger sister's dolls at home, but they're girly princess stuff, he says dismissively. I'm going to stop here for a minute, and I'm going to sound like a broken record, but an 8-year-old who considers himself gender fluid, that sentence means nothing. It means nothing, first of all, because the phrase gender fluid means nothing. Gender is not there is no gender fluid, despite what we are told. Gender is an objective thing. It's not a fluid. It's not a spectrum. But even aside from that, even if gender fluid did mean something, an 8-year-old who considers himself that, he has no idea what gender fluid means. Well, nobody does because it doesn't mean anything. But he has very little clue what it even means to be a boy or girl. He doesn't really even know what that means. If you ask this 8-year-old child to define what is a boy, he would probably have a difficult time giving you, especially a scientific definition. Yet somehow he's decided that he doesn't quite identify as that. Also, do you think it's a coincidence that his name is Shia? That's S-H-I''A. And he identifies as gender fluid. So he has this kind of ambiguous name, and then he ends up identifying as an ambiguous child. What a coincidence. That's not a self-fulfilling prophecy at all. It says, this doll with its prepubescent body and childish features looks more like him, right down to the wave of bleached blonde bangs. The hair is just like mine, Shia says, swinging his head in tandem with the dolls. Then he turns to the playmate in the toy testing room, a 7-year-old girl named Jahace, and asks, should I put on the girl hair? Shia fits a long blonde wig on the doll's head, and suddenly it is no longer an avatar for him, but for his sister. Here's what the dolls look like, by the way. Let me show you what they look like. So those are the dolls. I only really have one point I want to make here. Have you noticed that, ironically, and these dolls capture it, ironically, gender fluid, non-binary people, they all end up looking kind of the same, with same style and everything. People identify this way so they can distinguish themselves and express themselves and be individuals. But then they end up looking indistinguishable from everybody else who's trying to be an individual. It's like when I was a kid, some people wanted to be different and unique, so they became goth. That was the thing back when I was a kid. It wasn't gender neutral or gender fluid. It's the same basic idea, where it's just people who want to, I don't want to fit in with the crowd, I want to be different. But then the big joke with the goth kids is they all looked exactly the same. They were wearing basically a uniform. And that's what's funny, because if I said to you, picture a girl, just picture a girl in your head, not any specific girl, not someone you know, but just a girl. You might have a general image in your mind of what a girl basically looks like, but a girl could look like so many different things, so you're not going to be able to get very specific. When you think about what a girl looks like, again, you have just a general idea, but within those general parameters, a girl could look like many different things. There could be a wide diversity of what a girl looks like, because there isn't really a girl uniform. But if I said to you, picture someone who identifies as gender fluid, you immediately have in your mind an exact image of this person, down to the hairstyle, down to everything. Because gender fluid is, ironically, a very rigid, specific kind of thing. In their effort to be different and to be unique, they end up looking like everyone else who's making the same effort. And that's because, actually, as it turns out, there isn't anything constricting or rigid about just being a boy or girl. There's a lot of leeway within those parameters to express yourself however you want. But then when you try to leave when you want to be such an individual that you leave those parameters behind, that's when you end up in this very narrow box where you look like everybody else in the box. Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Matt Walsh Show. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down there so you can stay up to date on all of our future content.